Hello, I'm glad to see you again. Welcome to my classroom. We are in this and the next video going to explore the strategic management of maintenance and physical asset management. Let us look into ways of understanding the maintenance function. You can attempt to understand maintenance in a number of ways using different tool sets. The one I prefer that communicates the concepts in a clear, concise way is that of maintenance models. There are quite a variety of models communicating the essence of how different people in the world understand maintenance. It is wonderful to look at these different perspectives because different people look at what I would call the problem of maintenance from different angles. We can thus study these different views with the objective of having them enrich our understanding of the field. Let us start with some background. Maintenance is one of the organization's main functions. The organization typically needs to produce certain products for the market. This cannot be done if the equipment with which these products are produced are not available, reliable, and can produce products at their design capacity. As such, it needs to practice sound strategic management. Maintenance management needs to understand their strategic role in the business well and needs to translate that strategic intent into solid strategic goals. Maintenance models are one of the primary means of doing so, of assisting maintenance management in understanding the role of the business strategically. Maintenance people right over the globe started developing such models over the last 50 years. Let us make some comments regarding the status of maintenance strategic management in industry. This subject area firstly involves management. Secondly, the management of technology is more complex than the technology itself because it is and remains conceptual. It is thus impossible to get to the bottom of the management subject area. It will always be the one area where man will pit his intelligence against seemingly impossible hurdles. On the other hand, this is also the one area where people are very often lazy. They think that management takes place without effort, or they tend towards very basic management methods in the hope that it will produce some magical result. Most of these models are based on two things: the principles of strategic management and the idea of a control process. First then, the principles of strategic management. Strategic management can be defined as the management of a business's resources to achieve its goals and objectives. It takes the organizational goal or mission as basis. It then firstly analyzes to what extent the goal or mission is accomplished. For that, use is typically made of a SWOT analysis. That is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, to identify the extent to which the goal and mission is achieved. Based on this analysis, an action plan is developed for rectifying the shortcomings. This plan is then implemented, and thereafter the result is evaluated and corrective feedback action taken to firstly update the organizational goal and mission if necessary, and or update the analysis, and or update the action plan, and or re-implement until the correct result is achieved. This can, of course, take years to achieve. However, it is important to keep on working on it, as that determines how well you support the organizational goals. The strategic management process consists of 3 stages. The first stage, strategy formulation. This includes 5 things. Firstly, developing a vision and mission. Secondly, identifying the organization's external opportunities and threats so that you can devise strategies to make use of the opportunities and develop ways to counter the threats. Thirdly, determining the organization's internal strengths and weaknesses, building on the strengths and finding ways to alleviate the weaknesses. Fourthly, establishing long-term objectives, generating alternative strategies based on your SWOT analysis results. Fifthly, choosing the specific strategies to pursue. That's the first stage. The second stage, strategy implementation. This requires a firm resolve to firstly establish annual objectives. Secondly, devise policies in line with those objectives and motivate employees to achieve them. Thirdly, develop a strategy supportive culture. And fourthly, allocate the needed resources for this purpose. The description says how serious you must be to make a success of your strategy. That you must have a firm resolve, that you must put everything into this process. That's then stage 2. Third stage, strategy evaluation. This is the final stage in strategic management. Firstly, managers need to know when and why particular strategies are not working well. Strategy evaluation is the means for obtaining this information. The 3 fundamental strategy evaluation activities are reviewing the external and internal factors that are the basis for the current strategies, and measuring business performance, and taking corrective action. Strategy formulation, implementation, and evaluation activities occur at 3 hierarchical levels in a large organization. That's the corporate level, the divisional level, and the functional level. Maintenance strategy is an example of a functional level strategy. Smaller businesses may only have the corporate and functional levels, not the divisional level. Now for the influence of control theory in strategic management. We said that maintenance models are based on 2 things, of which the first was the principles of strategic management, which we completed a moment ago. The second are the principles of control theory. Control theory plays an important role in any management situation. So let us discuss this using a simple control model. Such model has the following qualities. An input, which is the standard which you want to achieve. An output, which it actually achieves. A process for achieving that output. A measurement process that measures the value of the output. And a comparator, which compares the value of the output to the standard set by the input. And then lastly, corrective action is then taken by adjusting the process such that the output is steered towards the correct value set by the input standard. Let us look at a simple technical example, that of a car's speed control or cruise control. You set the speed which you want to drive at. That is the input. The process controls the accelerator. The output speed is then measured in some or other way, and the accelerator position adjusted, that is opened or closed, to move towards the desired speed. A critical quality of such control system is that it must not react too fast and thus overshoot the required standard. That is, the control system should have adequate damping. It should not be overdamped. That is, it blocks the system's ability to change the process adequately, or underdamped. That is, it allows sinusoidal swings, which can, in the extreme, even lead to instability. So we talk of the right level of damping as critical damping. Let us now apply this to a management system. You decide on a value that you want to achieve, say the level of availability of a critical group of machines. That is the input. And you measure the time statistics of these machines, total time and downtime, and then the computerized maintenance management system, the CMMS, calculates the availability. Then the availability is reported to maintenance management, who takes control action. For instance, they change the preventive profile practiced, or they change the stock holding, or they make changes to the organization. If this control action is too weak, no result will be achieved. On the other hand, if the control action is too pronounced, it can lead to instability. So it is critical to achieve a happy balance. Now for maintenance models. We are now going to visit 5 maintenance models. They are the following: the Terratechnology model, the Eindhoven University of Technology or EUT model, the model of Viggs, the maintenance cycle model, and the Asset Management Council model. To keep the videos manageable, we will visit the first 3 in this video, Strategic Principles Part 1, and the last 2 in the second video, Strategic Principles Part 2. First then, the Terratechnology model. Until the second part of the 20th century, the maintenance function was thought of as being very simple. Nobody thought of conceptually developing models for the function. However, the practice of maintenance provided cause for concern. Maintenance costs were on the rise, and the service availability of the systems being maintained was unacceptably low. Slowly but surely, the maintenance function grew in importance in boardrooms and in the minds of decision makers. One of the consequences of this opinion shift was the large-scale survey commissioned, that is a commission of inquiry, in the late 1960s by the British Ministry of Technology. The findings of this study was, firstly, that maintenance was costing the United Kingdom some £3,000 million per annum, which is now the equivalent of £46,800 million per annum, and that production savings of around £200 to £300 million per annum, in present terms £3,120 to £4,680 million, could be affected through very basic improvements in maintenance. They proposed that the maintenance of a technical system should be seen in its larger context, which is its life cycle, starting at the system's conceptualization and specification and design, and ending in the disposal of the system. They named their proposed wider approach Terratechnology. The terro part of the name was based on the Greek terrain, meaning to keep up, to maintain, to care for. Thus, Terratechnology equals caring technology. Here is the model. It is simply based on the life cycle of a system progressing from design through the purchasing decision, that is setting specifications and procuring, installation, commissioning, using and maintaining the system, and eventual replacement. It strongly advocates feedback from the various life cycle processes to the designer so that the original design can be improved based on experience. It also visualized the Terratechnology department in the business, replacing the maintenance department. This new department had to, apart from handling the maintenance of assets, manage the whole life cycle of equipment from a user's perspective. Secondly, the Eindhoven University of Technology, or EUT model. The technology model was lacking in many areas. One of the major problems was that its focus was on the larger context, which was correct, but it totally neglected the processes inside the maintenance organization itself. The Eindhoven University of Technology saw this limitation. They thus concentrated the effort more on the outer inner processes of the maintenance organization. They then devised what has become known as the EUT maintenance model. It is a descriptive model which describes how maintenance processes work rather than a prescriptive model that prescribes how it should work. This is different to the technology approach, which was quite prescriptive. Here we have the model. This is a simplified version of the more complex detailed model. This model, while not disregarding the process components defined in the technology model, concentrates more in the area of the maintenance process itself. The large block on the right represents the organization. It starts with the essence of the technology model, starting at the design and manufacture of the system, developing a maintenance plan for the equipment. In actual fact, the EUT model talks of a maintenance concept and not a maintenance plan, and having the idea of technological feedback to the designer. Specifically, it emphasizes that the maintenance needs of technical systems present the maintenance organization with a certain maintenance demand, which must be met to be successful. This demand should be met by utilizing different sources of maintenance capacity. That is operators, internal maintenance capacity, external maintenance capacity, and OEM product support. This should be augmented by good spare parts control and rotables control. By definition, a rotable is a unit that sits in a machine or a plant which can, at failure, be taken out and replaced with an identical unit, while the broken unit is sent for repair or refurbishment, and then put in stock again for reuse. So it rotates through the business, is installed at different sites and different machines. Some organizations number such units uniquely to be able to assess its life and performance under different operating and maintenance conditions. And then the result of all this should be evaluated and used for internal control of the maintenance function and for feedback to the designer. The EUT model is a marked improvement on the technology model. Although the technology model was an absolute breakthrough, it was not at that stage fully developed. The EUT model developed it further and thus improved on the model and its ideas. However, it still does not explain the processes inside the maintenance organization well enough. What is necessary is a model to explain the processes inside the block named maintenance management in the figure, which we will do in the maintenance cycle model, next after the Viggs model. Thirdly, Viggs's model. A functional view of the maintenance department was proposed by Viggs in 1972. His model was in many respects based on a modification of traditional plant maintenance. He called this cycle planning and control. See at the center of the diagram. The cycle progressed from inspection of the plant at the top, then performing longer-term planning, then task planning, task estimating, and the result that a work order is issued. The site being prepared and the work taking place. The data records being updated. Analysis of the work result. This leads to new work being identified for inspection. The possibility then exists that some design work may be initiated to make improvements. Those improvements are typically changes to the equipment and/or parts. Viggs's model is much more of a process flow chart rather than a strategic management model. His was an engineering approach. As such, it addresses the process of workflow rather than the management processes that will lead to success. It is more of a tactical model. Nevertheless, it plays an important part in understanding the function. And in times past, organizations was very often built around certain people that became absolutely adept at their work, and so the organization prospered. However, over the last few decades, that's 50 to 70 years, there was a steady increase in personnel mobility, and so the people management aspect kept on increasing in importance. Issues such as organizational culture and systems became much more important, leading to the pure engineering approach not being able to survive today. As we said, we will continue the discussion of maintenance models in the second video, Strategic Principles, Part 2. I thank you.